I want to just send people this link every time they ask me about it. How do you get a deal on AppSumo? Or the way I hear it mostly, bro, how do I get on AppSumo?
Well, I mean, so let's actually talk about the evolution of how to get on AppSumo. Right. So it used to be AppSumo was a deal site for entrepreneurs. And so we would actually go out and find and negotiate these deals on a one-on-one basis. We'd go to Neville and be like, hey, Neville, we love the copywriting course. We want to get on AppSumo. You would jump on a call with me. We would negotiate terms. And that got to the point where it was so successful. We were getting so many people coming through that platform that we had a 9-month waiting list. I mean, this was a harder door to get into than live in Miami, like Club Live in Miami. So it was a 9-month waiting list. And so people were struggling to get on AppSumo, and they were going, I need to like launch my business. I want to get on AppSumo. What can you do for me? And so we took a step back and we analyzed, number one, our customers were looking for more. Number two, we had more partners than ever. In fact, I think there's 7 SaaS tools being created every hour, which is insane. Yeah. And so there's more tools out there than ever before. They're niching down more than ever before. And so there's opportunity across a much broader spectrum than it was even 5 years ago. And so we took a step back and we go, well, what can we do to help even more entrepreneurs? And we decided to launch a marketplace about 4 years ago. And we've been working on the product roadmap and building towards it. In fact, we launched late last year. And what this allows us to do is essentially democratize the platform. So it's no longer Neville needing to go directly to Ayman and be like, yo, Ayman, slide me $100. Let me get on AppSumo next week, right? And it's like this back and forth. It's like we're democratizing the platform. We're opening it up. And so if you go to appsumo.com right now, on the top, there's a link that you can actually go and self-list your own product. You can click sell on AppSumo. You can go through the form. You can upload your own imagery. You can upload your documents, handle your copy, and then push publish and be live on AppSumo. And so that evolution is what it allowed us to do is go from only having 50 products in the store because everything was a one-on-one basis to now having 1,500 plus products. This year, we're going to be projecting to do north of 6,000 products by the end of this year in a variety of niches that we've never, we could have never understood. And it's been awesome to see that growth. And so it used to be really hard to get on AppSumo, and now what we've essentially done is we've made it a lot easier for the everyday entrepreneur to come on AppSumo, list their product, and be making money almost immediately.
So when they say, can I get on AppSumo, let's unpack that sentence. What they're actually saying is, how can you email your 1 million+ people about my product?
So that's very different. Yeah. So that's the thing is like, so people are like, oh, like, is AppSumo opening up too much? We want to make it clear. There's essentially 2 levels of AppSumo. There's the self-listing platform, which, to be fair, there's some of our highest rated products have gone through the self-listing. It doesn't necessarily need to go through the second component, which is our white glove select process. So the white glove select process these are our select tools. These are the tools that go through that traditional process that we talked about, where we negotiate, we handle your copy, we do a video for you, we blast our email list. We go through that entire process. So there's essentially 2 ways you can go through it. Number one, you can go through and fill out that form. And we actually have our sales development representatives, they comb through every listing and go, hey, this actually has some select potential. So you can go through that. Number 2, if you and this is what a lot of our partners are doing. They're going and listing on the marketplace. They're rising in the rankings. They're getting better reviews. They're rising, and we're seeing that they're performing so well. And then they are transitioning from being in the self-listing marketplace to being in the select marketplace. And so that secondary transition. And so it's still through that same process. Go through that, fill out that form, and either someone will identify you right in the get-go, or you'll go through the self-listing flow, get on the marketplace, rise in the rankings, and then you'll be selected directly from the marketplace.
That kind of reminds me exactly how like actual retail does that. So if before you get into Target or Petco, you have a dog leash, you want to get into Petco, they're like, have you succeeded at XYZ mom and pop store first?
Totally.
They want to see that you're the #1 seller, that you're in the front center selling all day. And then they're like, okay, well, it'll clearly sell.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I was having lunch with Eric from Beard Brand the other day, and like, that's how they got into Target. They started with a test pilot with 3 stores. Let's see how you perform. And now they're in 1,000+ stores. And so you definitely want to show like the first 24 hours, showing that you're engaged with the reviews, that you're engaged with the customers, that you're actually putting some effort into your listing, and you're not just mailing it in. You're actually putting some effort into your copy. Mm-hmm. You know, you've gone through Neville's course and actually learned how to write a little bit of copy, or maybe hired someone from your community in order to do the copy for them, and actually put in some effort. And we're going to see that. You're going to rise to the rankings. It's completely algorithm driven. It's based on number of sales, number of new customers driven, number of reviews, and the cream will rise to the top. And if your product is phenomenal, in fact, we're seeing a lot of incredible self-listing products doing millions of dollars of revenue. 500,000. I was just checking some numbers. Someone was doing, they just crossed 500,000 this morning. It was a single solo entrepreneur, which is awesome to see. And it's like that product wasn't making any sales just a few months ago. And so it's been awesome to see that rise. And so, yeah, it's very much similar to the traditional model where you're like, hey, prove yourself, work your way up, and then you'll be able to get blasted. And we're going to want to promote you.
That's awesome. That's actually a much better way than before.
Yeah.
We're just like, people always ask me, and I'm like, well, I have this content. And then sometimes it's people that I didn't really know their product, or I thought like, or they were still building it. I'm like, bro, I don't know. I don't even want to waste the introduction.
Totally.
Now I can at least say, go to the marketplace, list it, do the fucking work.
Yes.
And then you can do it.
100%. The cream will rise to the top.
Okay. That's awesome. So let's talk about this. What deals have you been seeing work best? Like, is it software? Is it courses? Is it PDFs? Like what? Is there a genre that you have insight into?
Yeah. So our main customer is like our customer avatar. We call him Marketing Agency Matt. So Marketing Agency Matt, he runs a 7-figure agency. You know, it's a fictional character, runs a 7-figure agency with 10 full-time employees, and he packages his marketing products to his clients that are maybe less tech savvy. And so the products that perform the best are those that empower Marketing Agency Matt to better serve his customers. And so that's products like SEO tools, products like marketing tools, design tools, social media tools, tools that he can then sort of white label and repackage as part of his retainer fee to his end clients. Those are the ones that do the best. We talk about repurchase rate. The likelihood that a pizza shop down the street is going to purchase 10 pieces of software over the next year, pretty low, right? Like, they're like, look, I got pizzas to deliver. I don't want to deal with that. The likelihood that Marketing Agency Matt is going to purchase 10 pieces of software to continue to grow his agency, pretty high, right? And so what the products that do the best are the ones that serve Marketing Agency Matt. And we noticed that over the last few years, because when I joined AppSumo, we were doing everything under the sun. We were doing ebooks, PDFs, courses, software, and we took a step back and we analyzed it and look which ones are selling the best. And it was funny, the software was outselling all of the other categories by 10 to 1. And so we're like, well, why don't we just double down on the number of software? Like, instead of doing 1 per month, let's try 2. And all of a sudden revenue went up. We're like, what about 4? Revenue continued to go up. And so it got to the point where like it became 90% software and 10% everything else. And that has evolved over time. You know, like 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, learning how to code was the cool thing, right? Like everyone, right? Everyone had a Ruby on Rails course and like learning how to do Python, and everyone wanted to learn how to code. And then you end up realizing, like, oh shit, learning how to code is really fucking hard. Yeah. And so like no one wants to learn how to code anymore. And so now what's cool is like the no code tools, right? Yeah. And so like it's cool because like AppSumo gets this watchtower view of the industry where we get to see like sort of the trends of entrepreneurship, where it's like, oh, everyone wants to learn how to code. Like, oh, no one wants to learn how to code. Yeah. It's like now everyone wants to just like have a no code tool that you can just drag and drop and build software. And so it's cool to see sort of this rise and fall. And for courses, I mean, courses had its heyday probably about 7 years ago, 8 years. Yeah. Everyone was doing course. What we're noticing now is courses are essentially being used as lead gen and as the opportunity to create thought leadership. And what it is sort of top of funnel. And people are using it to build their list, to build their audience and show their thought leadership that they're then using to parlay to their higher priced items, which could be a course. I mean, it could be a much more expensive course. It could be consultation, could be software. And so to me, like, I think it's less about what products do well, but rather what product are you most poised in order to be successful on? Because if you don't know how to write software, what are you doing trying to create software, right? Start with a PDF, build an audience, turn that into a course, continue to build the audience, use the profit from that to fund your software. And like, that's sort of like this evolution of entrepreneur that I think people are just jumping right into software. And we have people with spreadsheets, templates, making $500,000 on AppSumo. And so you don't need to really focus on any one of those categories. What's most important is how are you providing value? And more importantly, what can you be the best in the world at? If you've never written software before, don't just try to jump in and write software.
Yeah, I mean, this is first of all, that was awesome. Second, I remember seeing that trend a long time ago. I mean, obviously, we've been selling core forever, right? Like, so not at the very beginning, but like early on, when it was kind of a novel concept. When I'd tell family friends, they're like, "Wait, you're selling like a video?" Like they couldn't even like understand it.
Yeah.
And then it became really awesome. Everyone noticed the structure of it. It's like if you sell something for $50, you basically have $50 in profit, right? There's no delivery cost, no nothing, right?
Yeah.
So everyone started doing it. And I started noticing it's kind of like a course teaches you how to do something. So it actually adds work to your plate.
Right.
Whereas software just does it.
Totally.
So instead of like, here's how you calculate some SDR compensation packages, you could just make a calculator that does it on Excel or Sheets, and it just does it for them.
100%.
Yeah, enters the number of SDRs, salary, whatever, boom, output the answer. Why do you need to know all that yourself?
Totally.
Yeah, I've actually been encouraging people. We did a thing called Sell While You Sleep. It wasn't a very good name, but it's essentially like, how do you sell a micro product? So one of the things that we see a lot, especially from like kind of like newbies or people with jobs, is they're like, I want to create a course. I want to create a course. And I'm like, do you need to create an entire course in its traditional form anymore?
Yeah.
Or can you just sell the real nugget that you're getting? So speaking of that SDR thing, I was actually referencing a guy named Kyle Van Voris, and he has an SDR agency, and he wanted to make a course on like why you should compensate your SDRs correctly and what SDR stands for. And I'm like, I'm assuming the person that needs this knows all this stuff already. Right. Like there's no reason to re-educate them.
Right.
And so he was showing us all the modules he made and everything. Then he showed us like, he called it the world's greatest compensation calculator. I believe that was the name. Yeah. And it was just an Excel sheet. That's it. And I was like, yeah, just sell that. Yes. Just sell that thing.
Dude, that would do so well in AppSumo.
So to get this, he put it on AppSumo.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, during the thing, he was just like, well, shit, I already have this. And he thought he was going to spend months like making some course. I was like, no, just put that thing out. Yeah. And he started making sales on it right away. So in the AppSumo marketplace. Yeah. So he also put it on Gumroad, but Gumroad, I guess, doesn't promote. You have to do all the promotion. So AppSumo, he was making sales without doing anything, which is cool. And then if you also promote and get reviews and stuff, it's even better. Yeah. So that was one of those case studies where he was just like, oh, interesting. So I just make the sheet, and then he did a 30-minute free Loom video. So he didn't even spend money with Loom. Right. Recorded it, be like, this is how it works. Here's me doing it with a small company, a medium company, a big company. There you go. That's your whole product. I love it. And he sells that for like $50 or something still.
And he probably turned that out in like a Saturday afternoon.
Oh, well, here's the other thing. Like you were saying that the product actually, so it makes some money. Yay. Yeah. Cool. Make a couple $1,000 here and there. Yeah. Awesome. But then he also charges $30,000 plus to start engaging with him with his actual agency. Oh, I love that. So those are obviously the big money makers.
Of course. Right? And that's the thing is if you're treating it like a funnel, right? And I think that the best entrepreneurs do treat it like a funnel. And they think about like, how do I continue to grow my audience and always have a second layer? In fact, even our select partners, the best ones are the ones that don't just think about, oh, you're running a lifetime deal and that's the end of it. It's like, no, there's a lifetime deal. But if you get more value, there's actually going to be add-ons. There's going to be an opportunity for you to do a higher plan, add more users. And so it's almost like it's instead of treating it like the bottom of the funnel being on AppSumo, it should be the middle of your funnel. You should be continuing to provide more and more value to the customers well past the sale, which I love what Kyle did there.
Yeah. That was, so let's say, what's the best software that is selling the most common? Here, wait, let me put, I did a Sumo Day thing yesterday with Noah. Yeah. And I think y'all were promoting 7 products for Sumo Day or something like that. Wait, Sumo Day, by the way, if anyone doesn't know, is like, it's like a Prime Day.
That's
like
right.
Amazon Prime Day.
That's right.
Yeah. And so there's products, which I'm assuming were already top selling products. And so I was assuming they're already top selling products, right? Right. And that's why you put them for.
So this is basically a customer appreciation week, right? So it's an opportunity for us to sort of say thank you to the customers. We've been in business for 10 plus years. It's been awesome. And so we brought back some of our best products of all time, brought them back.
No, what are those specifically? Like, you don't have to like say names or anything, but like what categories do those, like the software that sells well?
Going back to the marketing agents, like SEO software, marketing software, project management software, social media software. In fact, Leo from Plutio was at the office yesterday. And so like, that's basically a suite that basically helps you manage your business, everything from project management to just, task management. And so he was in the office yesterday and like, he's been on AppSumo multiple times and it's been awesome to see him come back for Sumo Day and launch there. He's had a lot of success on AppSumo over the last few years and the team loves him. And most importantly, the customers love him because he's super engaged with his customer and his fan base, and he's always tweaking his product in order to serve their needs.
Do you see, are you familiar with the build in public thing on Twitter going on? Do you see a lot of those people like on AppSumo overlapping with that, or?
For sure. I mean, of course. I mean, I think like even someone like Kyle, like talking about his success. We see a lot of people. I think like there's a great product on AppSumo called Niches, which helps you find ideas in order to grow your business. And so you are like, hey, I'm super interested in crocheting, and it'll spit out 100+ business ideas for crocheting. I see the founder there constantly talking about that product on Twitter. And so there's a huge overlap between this build in public movement as well as AppSumo, because you can see the results live, you get your data live, you can go on your dashboard, and you can actually see how your sales are doing. And more importantly, like to your point, like, you know, how am I doing on this platform versus another platform? Like, hey, I put this up on Shopify and I didn't get many sales because I had to drive the marketing, versus like, hey, I put it up on AppSumo and I'm immediately seeing sales coming through the platform.
Wow. I mean, it's just like, I mean, I guess because I'm like old AF. Like, yeah. I've like seen this change where it used to be kind of more like every time you launch, it was more like an Apple event.
Right.
You got everything right. I guess you like silently beta tested customers or something like that. Then you launch in this big fashion to get a bunch of buzz going.
Right.
Because back in the day, you needed that. You just didn't have social media existing the same way it did.
Right.
You didn't have this like interconnected web of people across the world. Now it's almost like I subscribe to this one product called testimonial.to. Testimonials.to, I forget. There's a guy named Damon Chen, random dude on Twitter. I just started following the build in public thing.
Yeah.
And he built a thing that you just embed testimonials on a site. I know it sounds so stupid.
Right.
But it's one of those things where, as you know, even with like sumo.com, like sometimes it's just a weird hole that needs to be filled in the market that's not there for some reason. And so we started using that. And it's just like, if someone says something nice about you on Twitter, you click a button and it's on your page. I was like, cool. So I pay like $20 a month or whatever for that.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's like, I mean, I think he's got like total at like maybe $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 now, maybe MRR, like monthly recurring revenue.
Amazing.
It's not a big tool.
Right.
I remember finding him from there and being like, wow, this could actually like probably be a thing.
Yeah.
And like watching someone like that being super engaged with his community. Like I had an issue one time and I reached out, he fixed it. And I was like, oh, okay. That makes me feel confident. Like I imagine a lot of those types of people like would go on AppSumo Marketplace, get a little bit of a boost, and then perhaps get featured as a bigger one, and then turn into bigger things. What success stories like that have you seen? I think I could think of something like Udemy. I think an example. Are there any other ones that you've seen like that have gone from like that small size to like really big just from like that course of action?
I mean, on that note, like, you know, talking about like sort of this build in public, we have seen like, you know, this trend where it used to just be about the company. People would follow the company and focus on the major launch. And it's since transitioned to being the individual. And like people want to follow the individual more. They want to know the story behind the individual. They want to focus on the founder. A great example of that is like, there are more people that follow Elon Musk than they do Tesla, right? And so for them, the more that you're able to sort of get out in front and actually able to you just be very public with your transition and your plan, I think the more that people are going to want to follow your journey. A great example of that, we found Brain FM a few years ago. So this is in 2017. We found Brain FM. I think it had less than 1,000 customers. This awesome productivity music software. So if you're like, hey, I just want to listen to music in the background while I'm being while I want to be productive, this is the app you want to use. It's scientifically backed, all this stuff. And so we found them, we helped them launch back in 2017. They ended up exploding on AppSumo. In fact, one of our Sumolings, he became a customer, bought the product, loved it so much, joined them as an engineer, worked with them for a few years, and now is actually the CEO of the company.
Nice.
Yeah. And so this transition from being Sumoling to CEO, right, of one of the companies that we've promoted, he's constantly talking about their success, constantly talking about the features that they have. He's constantly like, quote unquote, building in public. And they've continued to see a meteoric rise well beyond their AppSumo launch, which has been super awesome to see.
That's so, that is so true about everyone moving towards the individual. It used to be the opposite. I think people would follow the company.
Totally.
And then the founder was kind of like incidental. Now it's just like the founder will always have more.
100%.
Like social followings. Like no one wants to follow like AppSumo, Twitter. It's fine.
No.
It's cool. It's necessary. I think it tells.
Right. But they're gonna want to follow Noah. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're far more interesting to the actual person behind it. It's such a shift.
It is. I mean, even courses, right? Like when we talk about courses, like courses used to be this paid thing, whereas like now really what are courses, but they've been sort of decentralized and put on YouTube as lead gen, right? Like you can literally learn anything on YouTube. And it's about the individual, it's about the message, and it's being used like, hey, follow this individual. And I'm going to sell you something else, or I'm just going to continue to make money off of YouTube.
It's kind of a better way. Like I've actually been like thinking about that, even with just like the YouTube channel and stuff. It's like copywriting course, but ultimately we talk about other stuff than just copywriting. And it's kind of interesting. Like the people that started off natively like that, where they just their name is their thing, they could talk about kind of whatever they want.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean,
start talking about a topic and then eventually selling tea and then talking about their mental breakdown on social media or something like that. But like the point is like people follow that person, which is really neat.
100%. Like they want to follow the Joe Rogan. They could care less about Spotify.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, all I care about is I care a bit more about Neville than I do about copywriting course. Right. And like whatever Neville ends up doing, I'm going to want to follow because I like Neville. I like Neville as an individual. And so if you end up, wanting to go into something else, I'm still going to follow that. Right. Because I'm following Neville. I'm not following copywriting course on Twitter for that exact same reason.
I guess you could do both. Like, so I don't know if like one's better than the other necessarily, because I do actually follow like accounts. Like
you need both,
yeah,
for sure.
You need both
for sure, 100%. And like I think like people they want to know what you're working on, but it's I mean, like for instance, the Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's got his podcast, but he's also got a stand-up comedy career, and he's also got the UFC, and I'm following him in all three of those. Yeah. And so I'm not just following JRE podcast.
But he can never sell Joe Rogan.
No, you can never.
But you can sell AppSumo.
100%.
You sell like the hustle.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. But I'm going to follow Sam Parr over the hustle.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to follow both, but I'm going to continue to follow Sam Parr well beyond the hustle.
So it's kind of cool. You get kind of the best of both worlds. You have a company account, you have your personal account. They can never take your personal account. Right. Then you could also sell the company account.
100%.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. That's amazing. So I'm curious about the pre-validation aspect. So actually Robbie Abed asked this on Twitter.
Yeah.
Curious about the pre-validation aspect of the products. How do you know what products are highly likely to succeed?
Right.
And how much of it is gut feel versus backed by data? Now you talked about this a lot already.
Right.
So I want to add another thing that I just learned about yesterday from Nick.
Yep.
He told me you'll have like a beta testing program.
Yes.
Beta sumos.
Yeah. The beta links.
Beta link.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beta sumo sounds bad. It's like the loser ones.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about that. Where did that come from? What's going on there?
Yeah. I mean, Ayman and Kim, they've done an awesome job of just creating a really solid process where. So Jeff runs our BD team. And so in terms of like, how do we know, like what is our vetting process? So when we're reaching out to our partners, we have a lot of questions that we ask to sort of find out sort of behind the scenes. When we jump on a call, the first reason we're jumping on a call is because we've demoed the product, we've seen their landing page, we've seen everything. And we've gotten almost like a really good, like after seeing tens of thousands of products, we've got almost a gut feel. Like Jeff still vets every single product that we're reaching out to and approves them. And he's gotten a really good gut feel on which products are going to perform well and which one don't. And it's hard for me to describe this, but it's almost the equivalent of the difference when like you see a fake Louis Vuitton purse versus like a real one. Like you're not really sure what's off about the fake one, but you know there's something off about it. And so like some of the things are like the font choice, the graphics, the landing page, when you're going through the onboarding and sign up flow, how polished is it? Does it deliver on what you're actually asking it to? And so we'll go through that and sort of determine its legitimacy, like how solid that product is. And then we'll jump on the call. And then that's when we're asking deeper questions. How big is your team? How long have you been working on this? Are you working on this full time? Do you have a support team, or is it the founder not sleeping and answering every support ticket, right? Like, do they have the potential to be able to absorb 10,000 plus new customers? Because a lot of times we have a very passionate founder, but they're just not ready for a select. I mean, people are asking like, hey, how do I get, featured on AppSumo? I'm like, be careful what you wish for. Like, are you really ready for that? Right? Like there are stages to this. And like, we want to make sure that you're ready for tens of thousands or just thousands of new customers. It's a lot of support tickets, things will break. There's going to be bugs that are uncovered. Our customers are phenomenal. That's why we launched the beta link process. So our beta link process, shout out to Kim. He's done a phenomenal job of creating this process where essentially we sort of stress test these select products even before they see the thousands of customers. And so the beta links will go through and identify the bugs. They'll help work on the roadmap. They'll give them direct feedback on here are things that I encountered. And they will basically stress test the product prior to even launching on AppSumo. And so as part of that white glove process, we're walking through partners. We're making sure that they're ready for their launch and that they're poised for success well before we even send out an email.
Damn, that sounds like I almost want someone to do that with me.
Yeah,
I was like, I would pay for that service.